Hey, party people, welcome back to my channel. And in this edition of Whatever I Want Wednesdays, as opposed to Subscriber Request Sundays, I'm going to talk to you guys about Houndstooth. Now, this is not a subscriber request, but it is an often requested tutorial in my school life and in general. So here we go. Tweeds are woolen fabrics that have two or more colors woven together to create different patterns and textures. And Houndstooth is specifically this kind of tweed where you have a two-color pattern, and it's called Houndstooth because people think that these individual shapes look like hound's teeth. Okay, here are the little sharp canine points, and here are the roots that go into the mouth. I personally think that they kind of look like little dogs from the front, little dog ears, little dog legs. I'm going to show you a really simple way to learn how to do Houndstooth, and then from that, I'm going to show you how to put it on a garment. So first, start with drawing a grid. Make sure your squares are square and not rectangles. For this part of the lesson, you're going to need two colors of marker or color pencil. It doesn't really matter what colors these are. I just would prefer that the colors be very different from each other. So not light red and dark red, but this one is a prismacolor blush pink and this is a coy emerald green. Take your first color and you're going to fill in completely every other box in a row, in a column. And then you're going to skip a column and then color in every other box again. Take your second color, go into the empty column, and then you're going to fill in the boxes diagonal from the first color. Take your pencil and divide your white boxes diagonally in half. Make sure they all go in one direction and not making X's or anything. Take those triangles and split them in half. And try to make them as even as possible. Don't make one side super skinny or make your triangles extra teeny tiny, but try to divide them as evenly as possible. Then take your first color and you're going to color in the little triangles on the upper right-hand corner and the longer pieces on the lower left. And there is your houndstooth shape, or your little dog, like I like to see it. Here are your little dog ears, little dog body, and your little dog legs. Take your second color, do your little green dogs, little dog ears, little dog legs. And you should fill them in until you no longer have any white spaces. You just have a series of green and pink dogs. Right? And there is your houndstooth. Now, most of the time you see houndstooth as black and white. Like the vast majority of houndstooth are black and white, or another color and white. So in that case, take your black marker, every other box, skip a column, every other box. You're going to leave these white because that's the background. You're going to divide your boxes that are in between. Okay, you're not going to connect them like this. You're going to divide the boxes that sit in between your black boxes, and then you're going to divvy those up again. And then you're going to take your black marker again, and you're going to do the little black ears, little black legs. You should not have two dogs next to each other of the same color. They should all sit diagonally. And if you have a lot of excess pencil lines that you don't like, make sure that you wait for your medium to dry completely and get in there with a skinny eraser and just erase some of those excess lines. This is a Papermate Tough Stuff eraser stick that I got at, where did I get this? dickblick.com, I think. So just get in there and just erase your extra lines, okay? And there is your black and white houndstooth. Now, let's put this on a garment. Now, if you watched my video on rendering prints, the one with the pink fabric with the black and white safety pins everywhere, you know that I have a step-by-step process for how to lay down prints. Number one, choose your color and your media according to your fabric. If you have a really fuzzy woolen houndstooth, you can go for color pencil or you can go for watercolor pencil. These I used the watercolor pencil stipple technique that I showed you in the knits video. I'll drop a link to that in the info box. If you want a really simple graphic look as if like the houndstooth was printed on silk, you know, you can use the markers. Okay. Houndstooth is such a popular pattern by now that it gets used as a print for all kinds of fabrics, and it's no longer just the woolen tweed. You can go for something in between the graphic quality of marker and the fuzziness of color pencil and do something with watercolor. I did this one in gouache. Next, you're going to draw your garment according to the drape of the fabric that you're using, whether it's that printed silky stuff or the thicker woolen. And I'm going to put in the shadows for the garment before I put the print on top. I'm doing a black and white houndstooth, and so my background is going to be white, and so I'm going to use a 20% French gray from Prismacolor to add in my shadows. So let's pretend that's my light source, and so my shadows are going to sit here and here in these gathers and in these gathers and a little bit in the armpit. And then I'm going to lay out the pattern, scaling it down correctly according to my fabric swatch and following the grain line of my garment. Now you'll notice that my original square is this big and they resulted in these giant houndstooth or little puppies. So when you're dropping your original grid down, keep in mind that that original grid has to be so much smaller than you think it's gonna be. So this thing is like, you know, twice as big as my original square. So keep that in mind when you're first laying down that grid. Next, you follow the grain line. And so with this bent arm, I'm gonna make sure that, yeah, there's the grain of my sleeve and it's going to follow these ripples and then it's going to change direction. Because I have all of these gathers, that grid is going to look, those stripes of the grid are going to come together as it gets gathered into the cuff. And then the cross is going to sit perpendicular to the original grid, you know, regardless of the silhouette or whatever the arm is doing. You got to make your little squares happen. You know, wrap those lines around the sleeve. Our sleeves are not flat. Our arms are not flat. They're cylindrical. And then it gets scrunched in here as it changes direction. Curving, making sure everything remains perpendicular. And as we approach the gathers, we're going to scrunch up our grid because our fabric is scrunched up, of course. And normally I would do this step in a much lighter pencil, but I'm purposely choosing something dark so the camera will pick it up more easily for you guys. Because my squares are so small for this demo, I'm using a fine liner from Prismacolor. It's a brush tip fine liner. So it acts like a marker, but it's much skinnier than the Copic that I was using for this. So pick a square and you're going to do every other square in every other column again. And start with a flat area, and then you can expand and scrunch as necessary. Easier to do the flat areas and then try to lay out the scrunched areas, kind of estimate where and what those would look like. And then on top of every square, you're going to put in your little dog ears and your little dog legs. And yeah, once it gets squished, it gets a little bit crazy because everything is squished, and that's okay because that's your fabric. And then as your fabric turns the corner, things are going to be going in a different direction now. That's okay because that's what it's supposed to do. Little dog ears, little dog legs, little dog ears, little dog legs. I once caught a student in class like whispering that under her breath as she was rendering. I'm like, that is such a me thing to do. And in here, it gets a little bit messy, and that's okay because when your fabric is scrunched up that much, nobody's sitting there trying to pick out the little dog ears and the little dog legs, right? And you just keep going until you're done. And then again, if you don't like the excess pencil or you use the pencil that's too dark like I did, go ahead and wait for all your media to dry and get in there with a super skinny eraser like this and just carefully erase your excess pencil. And there's your houndstooth. You know the usual drill. If you have any questions, check the info box. If it's not there, then drop me a comment. A side note, I've been getting more subscriber requests lately, and again, totally cool. I love it, right? However, I've been recently getting a lot of subscriber requests for videos that I've already made. And I have, I think, almost 60 videos up at this point. So do yourself a favor. Okay, and go check out what videos I have up already before you request a video. Because I only check my YouTube comments once a day. Otherwise, it just starts taking over my life. And you'll probably get your answer faster if you check to see if I already have the video. Okay, so do a scroll through. If I have it, have fun with the video. If I don't, then come back and let me know and, be like, pretty please, and send me cake in the mail. No, I'm kidding. Don't send me cake in the mail. As usual, we are not made of magic. We are made of practice. So go practice. I love it when you guys tag me on Instagram with your illustrations that you've been putting together using my techniques. Totally brightens my day. So feel free to post your illustrations and share with the world what you've been working on. All right. And I will see you next time.